Yerkes. How are you, sir?
I'm brilliant, thank you, Neil. As you can see, very festive with the Christmas tree already behind me.
Well, I have to say, I've got Christmas tree envy. I'm looking at yours there, and then I'm looking over my shoulder at mine, and I'm feeling somewhat intimidated. So, but anyway, look, enough about Christmas trees and slices. We're here to talk about foreign exchange and international payments. So, first of all, James, just give us a bit of a flavour, particularly for the viewer, on your skills and experience in this area.
Yeah, sure. I've spent over 20 years working for international banks, major retailers, and startup banks within those retailers. And a big part of that time has been focused on foreign exchange, or FX as they call it, with particularly, a couple of the major companies.
And I'm absolutely delighted you've turned your skills to help companies reduce their FX costs by joining Bankbrokers. So welcome. And from what I've seen over the last sort of 7-8 years since you've been trading in Britain, I've noticed that when you reach out to a company to say, is this an area of foreign exchange that you've looked at? They go, oh my God, not another broker trying to sell me foreign exchange. And that's absolutely not what we do, not what we're trying to do at all. As you know, we're obviously providing independent benchmarking data to help those customers to see if what they're paying to their current provider is fair and reasonable. If it's not, then obviously we can negotiate with that provider to make sure they get a fixed markup that they're comfortable with, that's in line with market rate. So that's kind of what we're doing. But what are your sort of reflections on other things that you've seen with foreign exchange providers?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would agree. There's a lot of selling in the market, not a lot of checking. That's one thing I've seen. And in particular, hidden layers. And what I mean by hidden layers is that when companies start sending money overseas, there are different margin price layers depending on the amount that is sent. Much like, us as individuals, smaller payments, you don't tend to check as much in terms of what the rate is that you're actually getting. Some companies I've been around, I can see that. And that opens the door for many providers to charge much higher margins for smaller transactions versus larger transactions. Now, that might not be a problem in itself if the providers made it clear what those hidden tiers, hidden layers were, but they don't. So you don't know, for example, that if you send $10,000, $10,001 would have saved you, maybe $50 or $100 on the transaction. That's been a challenge across the market for a number of years. The second issue, I think, is what I would say is around companies purporting to use a base or a market position and showing that as what the market position would be, much like the Bank of England shows you what base rate is, and then you can work out what a mortgage or a savings deal is relative to base rate. But that's not the case in the FX space. Many providers put their own market rate, or what they say their view of the market is. It is not necessarily the European Central Bank's rate for a currency. It is not Reuters, it's not Bloomberg, it's their own. So that creates, again, confusion and a lack of transparency, because normally their rate is higher than the the national kind of European rates. And that means that the providers are then charging the companies more.
So what's the best advice then to an FD or a treasurer sat there thinking, well, I think I've got a good deal, but I'm sick of speaking to all these bloody brokers about it. How do they actually find out what they're being charged and what is the fair rate, and if there's something to be done about it?
Absolutely. I mean, cut through the complexity by using a company such as Bankbrokers, for example, to check what I said. Where are the layers? So that's easy enough to do if you know where you're looking and if you know how to do it. So that expertise that companies like Bankbrokers has enables people to do that. And then secondly, the baseline position. Check on a regular basis if you're completing a transaction that you are getting that. And again, companies like Bankbrokers can use their data to show companies what the actual base point is at that time. Otherwise, there's a risk companies will overpay, and therefore it results in a bad deal for them.
Fantastic. Look, James, again, welcome to the team. Delighted to have all your FX foreign exchange, international payments expertise part of the team. I've now got to dash off and baste the Christmas pudding with a little bit more whiskey ahead of the big day. So I wish you farewell. Have a lovely evening, sir.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy that. Take care. Bye-bye.
Cheers, buddy.